was Richard was an alcoholic. Have you ever been to AA and the guy gets back up and goes, "Hi, my name is Richard and I'm still an alcoholic." Like, holy God, like this is too cornball for me. But AA's cornballishness sort of does work because it sort of has a way of making you humble and not like, who am I type of thing. So it does work. I know it bothered me too, like, are these people morons? Now, if you're wondering what I am not Hawaiian. I've never been on a shrimp boat. I don't own a Chinese restaurant. I'm a Jap, not a Jewish American princess.
Debatable.
I'm the real deal. I'm a chink, the Guggen, I'm Japanese. Yeah, you laugh, but you used to laugh at me, when I was a kid. This is before we took over the world. So. And I was at the gym, and this Chinese guy goes, "You're Japanese, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Half, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Okay, so you're half white." "Yeah, I guess so." But I always talk about being Japanese. I grew up on Long Island, because it was right away getting beat upon, and being different then. It's not the cause of my alcoholism and drug addiction, but it sure was a nice little fertile ground to start on, to give me an attitude, like I'm going to screw you before you screw me. It never helped me to feel any love or companionship or friendship with anybody. The black guy over there and me, I remember in elementary school, I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, he goes, "Richard, we are screwed." Yeah, you're right. It's like, wow. But God blessed me with a very high IQ. Don't worry, I no longer have it. I drank and drunk that right away. But I was the little good, typical, stereotypical Asian little book rat. Like doing my schoolwork, doing a good job, high grades, honor roll, da 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 da. And you try to copy off of me? No way, you do your own work. And piss people off. And, let me put it this way. My mother used to dress me in a bow tie and a Brooks Brothers little blue jacket. And I had to go to school with guys like you who would kick the shit out of me all the time. It wasn't fun. But I did well in school. And I had like cocaine paranoia right from the beginning. I'd look outside and I'd be reading and I'd look outside and I'd see all these people, these kids like playing and laughing together and everything. And I was like not part of it. I wanted to so be a part of something. And I remember the day, it was like junior high, like the 7th grade, and I'm walking past the woods. And I get a call like, "Hey, Heathcote, come over here." I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to get shit kicked out of me again." And it was the guys that I looked at with the leather jackets, the long hair, and the Beatle boots. And they're like, "Come over here." And they gave me a cigarette and beer. And it wasn't, some people are talking alcoholics, and I was, "Oh, I felt the feeling, the beer rushing in me." I didn't feel that. I felt part of it. I felt like, yes, I'm part of something. And the schoolwork, the gifts that God gave me, all started to fall away. And all I wanted to do was hang out with them and get high and drink. We were big drinkers. And, I started to notice a difference right away because they would take me out to parties on a Saturday or Friday night. We'd get drunk. We'd throw up. And I loved it. To me, it was great. But then I started to notice on Sunday through Thursday, they didn't drink. But to me, alcohol worked because I could go to school and that little chinky kid became like, "Hey, what's up?" Hey, no, like my brain, I was bigger, I was better, I was sharper, I was cooler. I felt great. So why? It's like medicine to me. People are like, "Why did you drink alcohol?" Is it because it worked? All right, it was the greatest medicine. I felt on top of the world that I could tell you how shitty you are and how wonderful I am. And it was, so I would drink during the week. And at that age, I'd have somebody buy me Tango. You don't know what Tango is, do you? Yeah. It's pre-mixed screwdrivers. Okay, it's like Tang and breakfast for the astronauts. and the worst vodka in the world. And I'd have like a dozen of them in my backyard in the winter, and they would separate. You go, oh, it was perfect. So I would catch a buzz before going to school, and that's the way I stayed buzzed. And I wasn't drunk, but I stayed buzzed. And then as the time went on in school, I used to get, drugs came in, but it was always the alcohol. Then the other thing kicked in is the ego, because at one time, it was like, Yoko Ono and John Lennon became very popular. All of a sudden, very popular to be Japanese. And all of a sudden, every white girl wanted a piece of this. And I'm getting laid all the time. You black guys, you were like on the side now. I'm number one. All right? So it was like really like, whoa. I mean, I got it all going.
All right.
I got it all going, and I'm having a great time. I want to tell you something. I went to a rehab too. I weighed 350 pounds. My hair was down to my waist. Okay, I didn't wash, bathe, comb my hair. So I had this big softball knot to the back of my head. So I walked like this because I couldn't move my neck, and my back was all chafed from it. And I have diabetes, so the skin was coming off my legs. You just push it off like sponges or something. And you didn't want to get next to me because I smelled, because the skin was starting to go away. And
Thank you.
the true story is if you tap the back of my head, little tsetse flies would come out, because that's how dirty I was. And I got to a hospital, they cut all my hair off, hosed me down. So I wasn't in good shape. You guys look pretty good. When I got here, I was not in good shape. This is whatever I am, I'm the product of Alcoholics Anonymous, okay? And some surgery too. All my teeth are implants because my teeth rotted. I was in pain all the time, so I surgically had it removed. And my face was really beat up, so I had to have some surgery on my face, because being out there, it seems like fists always end up in your face. I don't know how that happens. It must be but that's just to let you know that it wasn't so good when I got here. But eventually in life, I woke up one morning and I looked around. I had a wife, 3 children, a house, cars, and a business. And I was like, how did this happen? I started a business and it sort of started to work. I had a college degree. I didn't know much about it. Matter of fact, my second wife, one time we were watching a television show, she goes, what are they talking about? That's your major. And I'm like, I have no idea. But what happened is this business started to grow, and from 5 to 15 to 25 to 50 employees. And I was like, now I'm like king of the world. I don't got to punch God. I don't go tell anybody where I am. I do what I want. I'm making too much money, which is a cocaine problem. God's way of telling you, you're making too much money. And I just did, so the only thing I wanted to do was get drunk, get high, and hang out in bars. I love bars. Okay. So I go to work, and now I'm an everyday drinker, and it's bad because I got this business going, and there's people with their families relying on this thing for their living, for their livelihood, for their families. And they're watching me bounce off of walls. And I always had, I was a Tanqueray and tonic drinker. Tanqueray and tonic and a shot of Jack. Jack to get you there, and the gin and tonic to keep you there. And I ended up, the plastic bottles, $6.99, you drop them, they bounce right back up. Right? It rots your gut out. You don't know if it's vodka or gin. You just know that the guy that's selling it to you at the liquor store, when you're coming in for your second one for the day at $6.99, he's looking at you like, I don't really want to sell this to you, but I'm gonna. But I'm gonna. They were rolling around in the car. I was crossing lines, People say, I crossed the line. But if you're a good alcoholic like me, you move the line every once in a while. But I haven't gotten there yet. And everything that I thought, if I ever did that, something's wrong. Driving the wrong way on Sunrise Highway was one thing I was like, how do people do that? And there's the one night I find myself driving the wrong way on Sunrise Highway. And I pull off, and I get off, driving the wrong way on the entrance, and I'm on the service road, I'm like shaking, like, oh shit, I gotta get to the bar. You know, that's the way, get to the bar, get to the bar, get to the bar, get to the dealer, get to the drink. That's all that I could do. And the bar became my home. Man, I had that stool on the end where I could look at everybody else and tell them what assholes they were. Okay, I was friends with the bartender, I always make friends with the bartender, so you're in there solid, and that was my life. I didn't want to leave, I didn't want to go to work, but I had to. I had to. You know, I had 3 children, I threw money at them, I didn't give them love, I just was, on the outside, sometimes it looked good. You know, you drive them there, you drive them here, you pay for this, but the thing was, all my mind was saying, let's get this over with so I can go drink. Let's get this over with. And I'm driving drunk with 3 little kids, children in the car, and I never got in an accident with them. But you know, when I see on television someone getting pulled over and arrested and drunk, and they have their child with them, and people go like, oh my God, that's terrible. You know, I'm not any better, I just didn't get caught. I just didn't get caught. But otherwise, you know, I was a big cocaine user. I didn't want to buy little, you know, 8 balls. I mean, I bought an ounce a week because I had the money, and I put it in the middle of the car so I could just dip into it while I'm driving. And you know, it never crossed my mind. Somebody goes, you know, Richard, that's a federal. I'm like, what? Because yeah, if you had gotten stopped, you would have been facing time. I was like, see, the things that didn't happen or could have happened, that happened to other people. So, you know, there's no judgment in AA. Whatever you done, we either did it or came close to it or just didn't get caught at it. So don't ever feel, you know, and the other thing is people come to AA and they think, my story is worse than anybody else's. You know, it's not. I sponsor a lot of guys and we go through the steps and they tell me what they did, okay? And they was like, well, if I tell you this, you know, you're not going to like me anymore. I'm like, I don't like you already. That's not the deal. The deal is you got to tell me, admit to me, like I'll admit to him with what I've done, okay? And they all think it's horrible. But I tell you, I've sponsored a lot of guys, and I've never gotten a story with a goat in it. And I'm always waiting, come on, give me the goat story, give me the goat story, all right? It doesn't happen. But the thing is that I started to lose touch with reality. I didn't know the real from the fantasy. I would try to go to work. You know, I would come to, and I put a sock on, and in the morning, that's cause for celebration when you have a drink. Put the other sock on, another drink. By the time I got my t-shirt on, you know, it was 12 o'clock, and I was bouncing off the walls, and I would get in the car, and I'd have to stop at the bar near the railroad station. You know, they serve a very nice breakfast there, shot of Jack and a vodka, and people reading the newspaper upside down, like they really know what world they're in. They're reading a newspaper, and I felt at home. That's where I felt at home. I had to be with people just like you, just like me, that we just can't stop, that I need to stay out of here, and that's where I was. I stayed there, I got away with it, and I got away with it. You know, a lot of people crash and burn fast. I just seemed to get away with it. And to the point was, I became like the village idiot. I lived in Babylon Village, and my poor children would hear things at school like, hey, we saw your dad this morning. They go, where? Oh, he was crawling down Deer Park Avenue on all fours. You know, I was the guy that tried to walk home from the bar and shit in his pants. I was the guy that pissed in his pants coming in the bar. You know, I was the guy that would hang out with other guys that would nail on somebody else's foot to the floor and think it was funny. I mean, this was my life. This was my life. The children, they had to get away. They all went out to school. I ended up, it was just the wife and I, and all of a sudden I noticed the house is getting it's nice and quiet. Nobody's bothering me. And I said, I guess you just learned to leave me alone. See, but I didn't realize, it took me about 3 to 4 weeks to realize she moved with back to a father's house, and I just didn't know. I just didn't know. Because my life was drinking, coking, and passing out, watching TV. And in AA, when I came here, I heard this thing. I was like, whoa, I know what that is. This is my world was starting to get really closed in, like the walls are moving in on me. I lived in one room, and it got smaller and smaller, and even the worst drinkers in the bars that I hang out in, where if you feet on the wall, it was okay, they were like, Richard, man, you can't come in here. You bother the customers. And I was like out by myself now. And as if the world is getting smaller, okay, I'm starting to really get that hallucination thing going. And I know a lot of people like you whatever you did to hallucinate, you like think it's the best thing. Well, if you ever had the DTs or the hallucination from alcohol, it's not fun. It's bad. It's not that fantasy world, you know, where you see Captain Kangaroo jumping out of a box. This is bad stuff. This is dust balls that jump up on the couch and start talking to you and telling you what's wrong with you and what you should do to yourself. Okay? That's the drinking hallucinations. They're not fun. There's no let's go out and party thing. And I hit that, I don't know why, but the moment came and I just hit the floor and I had to have help. I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't realize that I was trying to commit suicide by just constantly drinking. And for those of you who drink the way I drink, you know that feeling of desperation when I cannot get drunk. When I'm drinking and drinking, it's I couldn't get drunk, and it was insane. It was starting to make me crazy, and I would just leave. I would pass out, come to, drink, pass out. My body is falling apart, and I have to tell you that, you know, the woman that I say was my wife, we really didn't get married. You know, we were the ex-hippies. We didn't want to ruin the love with a license. And she came back, and my friend said, marry him, because he doesn't have more than a month left. I was, you know, with diabetes, and my body was just, it was comping out. And, you know, $6.99 vodka doesn't help at all. But I ended up back in the honeymoon by myself. And I ended up being kicked out of my house and living in a beautiful motel, like the Bay Shore Motel. You know, the beautiful cinder block. Yeah, it's a cinder block area. And it wasn't fun. But yet, it kept me drinking. But I did ask for help. And I ended up in the hospital, and I ended up in a place like this. And the first thing I thought was, how did I get here? It's so stupid. Like, how did I get here? What happened? What happened to the kid, the guy, the woman that we were supposed to be? The one that our parents raised me to be. The person that I had the possibility to be. And I never did it. I never did it because alcohol took over. And I knew that I was an alcoholic. I was proud to be an alcoholic. Because if you came to me up in a bar and you said, you're an effing alcoholic, I said, how much do you make? That's how I gave my life. How much do you make? What do you do? And they were living happy lives. I would sit in the bar and I would look out a grungy window on a Sunday morning, because we had special Sunday morning treats there. And I would see families walking to church or carrying the bagels, and I'm sitting in a shit bar, and I'm looking out that window going, they don't know what life's about. They don't know. They did know. I just was afraid of it. I didn't know that my life was being driven by fear. Always fear. Fear you'd know me, fear you'd find out about me, fear that if I just was clean, you wouldn't like me, or you'd think, this guy is nothing. That was my fear. And in Alcoholics Anonymous, I learned that fear and resentment was the driver in my life. And alcohol was the one that helped me. I mean, I loved alcohol. It was like my, you know, it was like your mistress, your man. It was like I held on to it. And the first thing that happens in AA is you realize you have this separation fear, like in here. Like, where is she? Where is he? I need him or her. And they're not there. And there's somebody telling you, you can't have her or him no more. And it's like, whoa, what am I going to do? my friends, everything's centered around that. But in AA and in here, we start to learn about life without it, and that it can be okay. But there's the problem. We start to learn, see, because it's not a program of up here. It's a program of here in the heart. So a lot of times we have people come to meetings like I did. I come into a meeting at a rehab. I know the psychology of alcoholism and drug addiction. I know the sociology, the physiology, the rampant societal decay. And you're like, what? What? Because now self-knowledge, we learned in the big book, means nothing. Self-knowledge can't keep me sober. It's got to come from the heart. And then we learn about the person who comes in and they're like, shit, if I do this again, my wife's going to kick me out. Fear. Fear doesn't do it. Because alcohol, my relationship with alcohol and drugs is stronger than fear. And it'll eventually say, heck that, Richard, don't you worry. We got it covered. Okay? Fear doesn't keep me out. So I got to, at one point, delve into this thing that used to work, that doesn't work anymore, and say, come on, baby, just give me one more shot. And when you get that, when you have that one little inkling of hope, that's the piece you start to kindle, the little hope, and the hope gets into a big fire, and you start to feel better. And there's that one day, and we all remember it if you become sober, there's that one day where all of a sudden, you go, I did not think about a drink or a drug today. How did that happen? And that happened because you were doing the right thing, that I was doing the right thing, that I talked to another alcoholic, that I did what I was supposed to do, and you know what? It turns out to be fun. I was afraid of AA because I thought my life was over. How can they take a partying guy who pisses in his pants and shits in his pants and just make him a nothing robot? Okay? But what I learned in AA is I started to have fun. I thought I was going to be bowling, playing bridge. I was like, I don't even know how to play poker. But what it was none of that. It really was camaraderie with other people like me, but without the drinking. And it was helping somebody else and listening to my moronic story come from your mouth, and I'm hearing me, and I realize how ridiculous this all is, and that I can't stop. I know all these here have for one moment, if you haven't, is just stop to go, what have I done these past Christmases? Whoa. Oh, yeah. All of the things that I did for my family, okay, from the moronic to the stupid to the evil to the completely comedy like dragging in a tree that's 30 feet long with a big root of soil on it because I was going to put it up in the living room. The bar that I didn't want to leave, okay, being passed out and being told, you got to get up, the kids are up. You got to get up, the kids are up. And you know, in AA, I found out those kids will not keep me sober. If I try to stay sober for those children, it does not work. I got to stay sober for me. And then other things will happen that'll benefit them. It's got to be for me. I know that's hard to do. In AA, I have to go to meeting every day. I don't have to, I like to. But in the beginning, I did my 90 and 90, and I fell in with a bunch of guys who we got competitive about it. And now competitive is good for me. So we were like, you know, I ain't going to screw up in this 90 and 90, because if I miss a day, he's going to get ahead of me. And then we got competitive about step work. Oh, haven't done step 7 yet? Okay. It was any way you can do it, any way it worked for you, just so you stay and you start to realize. Sometimes it soaks in quickly, sometimes not. It takes a moment where you're like, oh, just don't go by yourself. Don't sit in the back by yourself. Get someone to go with you so you feel, it can be a very lonely place. And it can be a place where you're not going to hear anything about alcoholism or drug addiction. You're going to hear nonsense. You got to be with someone who can teach you. I had a sponsor, I got in rehab. When I went to the rooms, he was right there and said, sit down, welcome to AA. And he would whisper in my ear. You know, when the woman said, oh, my cat died and I don't, oh, boy, Rich, that's not AA. or you know, the man left me, or the wife left me. That's not AA. AA is the solution on a day-to-day basis on how not to pick up the drink and to have a good life. Okay, he is miserable. That's not what it's about. It's about having a good life, a real life, having fun, a family, if you so desire, whatever. Just as long as it's your decision, doesn't hurt anybody else, you know, you can rock and roll till the cows come home. With that, have a good night.
Thank you.